If you love defensive line play, the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit was the game for you. Boston College and their front four dominated play. The final score was 36-30, and it was a game in doubt until the final minutes because of some things we'll talk about in just a second. But talking about one defensive line of a Power 5 dominating the defensive line or the offensive line for another Power 5, not a group of 5 for an FCS school, another Power 5, a like-seeded team, both 6-6 teams. I have rarely, if I've ever, seen this kind of display. The Boston College defensive line had 14 tackles for loss. They had 8 sacks. They had 10 passes defense. So usually passes defense come from the secondary. In this game, I guarantee you that at least 9 of the 10, if not every pass defense, was a batted ball at the line of scrimmage by Harold Landry and company for the Boston College Eagles in winning this one over Maryland 36-30. It was the defensive line that won it. Usually by default, the quarterback or another offensive player wins the game MVP. But in this game, somebody was watching there in the press box because they awarded the entire defensive line the game MVP. There was a play early in the game in which Perry Hills was caught from behind, a strip sack, fumble, taken back down to the 5-yard line that set up a touchdown for Boston College. Kevin Kavalik picked up the loose ball in that one. Actually, he was the guy that forced it, and Trumaine Guttefeld picked it up for Boston College and took it inside the 5-yard line. Landry, who now has 17 sacks on the season and over 20 tackles for loss, will be a high pick in the NFL draft. He had an interception on a screen pass, brought that down inside the red zone for BC. There was another play in which they had 2 consecutive batted balls from Landry on the final last gasp for Maryland, the second to last drive of the game, in which they drove it all the way down to the 2-yard line. This, in a microcosm, tells you how dominant BC's defensive line was in this game. Maryland drove it after an interception on a deflected ball from Patrick Tolles, in which Savage got the interception for Maryland. The Terps had it down to the 2-yard line, 1st and goal. And after 2 sacks and a penalty that was forced by the defensive line pressure, Maryland had the ball at the 37-yard line after a 1st and goal at the 2. Now, a face mask bailed them out, and they had a chance to score. But, of course, Boston College stopped them again inside the 5-yard line. BC turned around and fumbled it, John Hilleman, at the 6-yard line. But BC's defensive front stopped Maryland again inside the 5-yard line and forced a field goal to make it 36-30. The play that I forgot for a second was a play in which Maryland had the ball in the 3rd quarter inside the 5-yard line, and Perry Hills couldn't even get the exchange with Ty Johnson, and it was blown up inside the 5-yard line. Fumble, forced fumble, and defensive touchdown for Boston College. And on that one, it was Noah Merritt who blew up the read option play, and Kevin Kovalek, who had the forced fumble for the would-be touchdown down to the 5-yard line, had the fumble return for the touchdown inside the end zone to make it 36-13. What kept this game close was Maryland's ability to hit the big play. Ty Johnson was a guy that we talked about in our preview, averaging about 9 yards per carry. And in this game, he had more than 9 yards per carry, 15 carries for 159 yards for the sophomore and 2 touchdowns. He hit big play after big play after big play. So getting down 16-0, he hit the 65-yarder to make it 16-7. When they were down 36-13, he had some big plays to get him back in the ball game. And also, Perry Hills on back-to-back series went up top to Teldrick Morgan for 63 yards in the touchdown. And then on the very next series, 2 plays, and then up top to Laverne Jacobs for 52 yards to make it a 36-27 game. That kept Maryland in the game. Big plays from Ty Johnson and through the air with Perry Hills, who only went 15 for 35 and was completely harassed most of the day. But he hit the big plays to keep Maryland in it. And they drove it down to the 2-yard line at 36-27, could have made it 36-34, and still had enough time to kick off, get the ball back on a defensive stop, and win the game with the last second field goal, but it was BC's defensive line that stopped them again. Tommy Sweeney, the tight end for Boston College, he is going to be an impact player next year. We expect only had 2 receptions, but 1 for a touchdown and 1 that took the ball down inside the 5-yard line. Patrick Tolles and this BC offense lit it up in the first half. 29 points, and that was even with a couple missed extra points, kind of shut it down there in the second half. John Hilleman, 29 carries, 79 yards, nothing that impressive, but he was able to grind out some first downs. And Boston College wins it again at 36 to 30 after the last field goal by Maryland, and they tried to get the ball back and did, in fact, but it was BC's defensive front that shut down Maryland and wasn't allowing anything on the final drive, and the game ended appropriately so on a Harold Landry sack of Perry Hills, ending Hill's career at Maryland at 6-7. Both quarterbacks played their final game. Patrick Tolles for Boston College in his one season threw 12 touchdowns, 7 picks, and finished off with a bowl victory. BC's first since way back Matty Ice in 2007. Okay, quarterback situation for BC entering 2017. Connor Strahan and also Darius Wade will battle for the job, and BC starts the season September 2nd against Northern Illinois. So, of course, we've got a complete offseason to talk with Dan Rubin and others, our friend with Boston College, about the Eagles' quarterback situation and preparation for 2017. For Maryland, in losing Perry Hills, they turn to UNC transfer Caleb Henderson, and also freshman Kasem Hill will battle for the Terps job. Maryland lost big to all the big opponents in the Big Ten. They did get to a bowl game, which is a huge improvement in DJ Durkin's first season at College Park. If you like Maryland, if you like Boston College, you want to talk about the bowl season, whatever it is in college football, here I am. Talk to me right here on Mark Rogers TV.